and old. Jen, your NavKids director here. Just wanted to give you the morning shout out, say hello, and see how you are doing. As we get moving forward with our summer, we are going to be diving into our series called NavKids on a Mission. So just a little intro, and to remind you each week, we will be studying about missions, missionaries, and the book of Acts. Before we get started today, I want to remind you about our central Bible verse for this series, which comes from Acts chapter 1, verse 8. So watch on the screen while I read the verse. Acts 1:8 says, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses, telling people about me everywhere in Jerusalem, throughout Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." We'll go over that verse every week multiple times as we reiterate what it is to be a missionary. And now to remind you what it is. A missionary is simply someone who tells others about the good news of Jesus. You could be telling them about the good news right in your own backyard, or spreading the good news around the entire world. And that's what 1 Acts is talking about. They started in Jerusalem. They started right where they lived. And then they got a little further out, Judea and Samaria. And then they didn't stop there. They went to the ends of the earth. Missions does the same thing. Missions can be in your own backyard or all the way to the ends of the earth. So stick with us, follow along each week as we discover NavKids on a mission in our own backyards and around the world. Good morning, NavKids. I am so excited to be with this interviewees this morning. These are some great friends of mine, and this is Jeff and Abby Hunt. And I have known Abby since I was a little girl. She was my favorite babysitter. Yes, little girl. Favorite babysitter growing up. Fun fact, she's also one of my aunt's best friends, and I worked for her dad, and her dad was my principal as a young kid. So Abby has been an important person in my life for such a long time. So without further ado, Jeff and Abby Hunt, give a round of applause. Yay! Hi, guys.
Hi.
Jeff and Abby, can you tell us where it is you are at and what group you are a part of? Explain to us what you do.
Well, we are located in Rustenburg, South Africa. And when we say South Africa, we're talking about the country, not the region of South Africa. We're talking about the country of South Africa. And we're in a little town, actually not so little, but a town called Rustenburg, South Africa. So we are here, and we are missionaries doing church planting. We've started our own church in a place called Freedom Park, called Hope Church. And we have another branch that's on our new property here. It's on the other side of town for Freedom Park. And we are with an organization called Engage Africa.
Awesome. And so if you guys want to know more later about Engage Africa, just let mom and dad know, and we will have a link in there. In fact, it's going to be a special link in your email today and on social media about an exciting project going on with Hope Church. So make sure mom and dad check that out later on today, okay?
We also have a website, www.engageafrica.com.
So you guys, I've been on the website. There's some cool information about what's going on down there in Rustenburg. All right, so let's get into our questions this morning. Our first question is, what does missions mean to you and your team?
Good question.
That is a great question. I think missions is about showing people who Jesus is by who you are, and then not being afraid to tell them that it's because of Jesus that you're doing it.
I agree with her, but I also think that it's just about what Jesus said. Jesus said, go into all the world. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go across the world to a place like South Africa or China or India or someplace like that. You can go across the road to your neighbor, depending if you can with COVID-19. But you can go and be that light to those who are closest to you, your friends, your family, your school, your church.
Yes, I love that. And each week we've been talking about this, about what it is to do missions and to be a missionary. And every missionary so far has had the same answer. It's to go. It's, and to go from your backyard to the ends of the earth, where God sends you. Some of us, it is only our backyard, and others, it's all the way to South Africa. Okay, so why did each of you become missionaries, pastors? Why did you get into ministry?
Well, that's a tough question. I think I'm going to have to think about that for a minute.
You guys, he lost us here.
I think it's because I was going bald and I was embarrassed to be in America, so I went to South Africa. I had always had a passion and a heart for ministry, and was never really in full-time ministry. And God was moving me to a place in my life where that was going to be something in my future. And as I was making steps to move that direction, he gave me an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity to come to South Africa. And at the time, I was a teacher and a basketball coach. And he gave me an opportunity to come to South Africa for 2 years and teach kids about basketball and tell them about Jesus. And that's where it's all started. And that's where my passion grew for missions and for the country of South Africa. And from that point on, I was all about being here and doing what God wanted me to do.
And really, for both of us, neither one of us planned our whole lives to be missionaries. We didn't wake up when we were 10 and be like, oh my goodness, God called me to Africa. Rather, we just both were doing exactly what we love to do. When I was 11 or 12, I started helping teach a Sunday school class, realized I loved teaching kids younger than me, did everything I could to spend time with kids. And then later, as a grown-up, I was a children's pastor, but then there was some missionary friends that needed help. So I came to South Africa, spent some time just helping them. That's when I realized I loved this place and I loved this people, and God could use me to do what God was using them to do. So for both of us, really, it was about doing what we love and taking advantage of every opportunity that was in front of us, and then just watching as God little by little unfolded the plan until, we're in South Africa and we've had kids here and we planted a church here and we love it.
Yeah, you look back and you go, whoa, look what God did.
Exactly.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the two of you meet in South Africa?
We did. Each of us spent 2 years working in South Africa with different missionaries at different times. But during the time that I was here working with, helping out some missionaries, Pastor Jeff was working in the States at a church, and he had already spent 2 years here. So he brought a team from that church in the States to where I was working in South Africa, and that's where we met.
Aww.
I know, so great. He already knew he wanted to spend his life in South Africa. I was quickly learning that I wanted to spend forever in South Africa, and so we thought, hey, we should do that at the same time. We should do that together.
And not pay 2 rents.
That's right.
Exactly.
2 rents is silly. We should get married and do that together.
Save money.
Okay. So next question is, how long have the two of you been missionaries?
Well, as Abby said, we each, before we were married, were here in South Africa for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And since coming back as husband and wife together, we've been here since 2009, so 11 years.
That'll be easy for me to
years.
remember because EJ's about to be 11. So, I did not realize that. Now I'll always be able to remember. Okay. Can you tell us about the ministry you're a part of and what makes it so unique? So we talked about what it is that you do, but can you explain for the kids what makes it, excuse me, so unique to other missionary missions around the world?
Well, most missionaries aren't bald.
That makes us unique, although only one of us. I don't plan to be bald.
I'm not sure that'd be a good look for you, Abby. I don't think I've known Jeff as anything but bald.
I haven't either, believe it or not. Man, what makes us unique? That is such a great question, because unique means different from other people. And I think what makes us unique is that we do what we love, and we're different from other people. And so the way we do it will look different. So for us, that means we teach children, because I was a children's pastor. And that means we have interns and young people that stay with us, because Jeff was a coach and he loves to coach young people. And so we have people come and stay with us and do ministry with us. One of the things that is interesting about our ministry is that we didn't plan to do what we are doing, I mean. Pastor Jeff mentioned that we started a couple of churches here, except we never wanted to start churches. We came here to work with orphans. We wanted to build an orphanage and help with an orphanage that was already established. And that did not work the way we thought it was going to work. It just didn't look the way we thought it was going to look. And so instead of sitting around and waiting and going, okay, God, just what do you want us to do? There was an opportunity. There was this place called Freedom Park where people live without water, without electricity, and there's a lot of sickness in this place. And so there was a clinic that we just went and started meeting with the ladies at the clinic and visiting their patients and just talking about Jesus. And after a while, people started really getting to know Jesus, but then there was no church for them to go to that really taught them the truth of the Bible. And so we started really praying, God, send us a pastor. We need someone to plant a church in this place.
Yeah.
And so we planted a church.
Yeah, God said,
I already
made you, Pastor. Yeah.
So it's not what we thought we were going to do, but following God doesn't always look exactly the way we think it's going to. Sometimes it just means, oh man, a song from Frozen 2 just flew into my head. Sometimes you got to just do the next right thing.
It's true.
And Jesus keeps directing you, and he keeps letting you do the next right thing until you look back and you go, oh man, all those right things ended up here.
Yeah.
Psalm 36 tells us the steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord.
Yeah,
so who knew? Do the next right thing was right there in the Bible.
I love it. I love it. And that's something that we try and teach the kids a lot, that it's not necessarily about having the whole plan. It's about having the plan for right now. And in that, we learn that being obedient brings blessings. You know, and you guys have, I'm sure, so many things, a list of things that you could list off and say, we were obedient here and God gave us this. We were obedient here and God gave us this. So many examples, I'm sure. So how is kids ministry the same there in South Africa as it is here in the U.S.?
You better take that one.
All right, I'll start us off. Well,
completely different.
It's not completely different.
Oh, okay.
The biggest difference is that where we teach in South Africa, there's a language difference. And so we work with an interpreter. But a lot of things are similar in that we teach the Bible, and it's the exact same Bible that you learn. In fact, have the kids in your ministry started memorizing the books of the Bible?
Some of them have them memorized because they go to a Christian school, a couple of different Christian schools around the area, and we have some homeschoolers that have started learning them. We were at the beginnings of learning them this year, and then COVID stuff kind of happened.
That messes everything up that you want to do as a team, doesn't it?
It really has, right, guys? This is not what we planned on doing this year, is it? But it's working. We're being obedient.
That's right. And so our kids, they're learning the books of the Bible, but in a language called Tswana.
Oh.
And we do memory verses, just like you guys do. Every week we have a coloring paper for the kids. A lot of our kids don't have crayons at home, and so they love to have a coloring paper at church, but we have the memory verse there in 2 different languages.
Oh,
because some of our kids speak English and some of them don't. And so this one, you guys know this memory verse.
Yes.
This says, God loved the world, so he gave his son. And in Tswana, it would sound like, Modimo orate le fache, jalo onyatse morwa wachachwe. And that is found in Johanne 3, verse 16.
Wow.
So a lot of things are similar. Kids love Jesus. Kids love to worship. Kids love to pray. They pray for each other. They just don't do it in exactly the same way that you're used to seeing in the States.
And
Yeah.
many of the churches, depending on facility, many of the churches will have for kids' church outside underneath a tree. And that's where you have kids' service. No microphones, nothing special. You're just out there, you sing songs, the teacher tells a story, and that's kids' church.
Our kids at our church sit on the floor on tarps because we don't have chairs and things like that. So we sit on the floor. We get a lot more people in the room if we sit on the floor. We've got about 100 kids that get together in one classroom to hear the Word of God, but they hear it in a similar way that you do. Object lessons, memory verses, Bible stories. They act out Bible stories. They love to act out things. Do you guys like to act things out? Whew, our kids love to be up in front of each other.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. Is this when you say 100 kids all on a tarp or tarps in a room, are they kids of every age range, or like here at our church we split up our kids by different age groups? All of our elementary school kids are all in one room, but then the grades below that, they're all split up. Are they all in one room, or do you split them up at all?
There's about 100 elementary, they call it primary school here, about 100 primary school kids. And that would be from whenever they're too old to pay attention well in preschool. So around, they call kindergarten grade R here. So somewhere around grade R, all the way up till about age 16, kicking them out. They got to go be with the grown-ups for at least 1 week, every other week. Around age 12 or 13, they're able to start being a leader in the children's ministry. And then our other class, we have one other class, and that is basically for everyone that's too young to pay attention in the big kids class. So we got a little kids class and a big kids class. Okay.
So kids, they all stay together all the way up to almost 16, you said?
Yep. Unless, I mean, some of the older kids don't want to stay that long. Some of them will start attending youth and then the adult service. A lot of our kids, though, attend youth on Fridays, and then they still come and help with the children's church or just attend the children's service on Sundays as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's so different than, well, America. Most churches, once you get to a certain age, you got to go to youth group, and then you don't come back to kids' church. But for us, we have a special program where our 5th and 6th graders, we're called NavKids, as you can see on my shirt. And we have NavKids, I guess they're volunteers in training is what the program basically is. And our 5th and 6th graders are allowed to volunteer. And they have we have 2 services on Sundays. So when our 5th and 6th graders volunteer, they can serve in one service and they have to attend another service. So then they're still getting the word into themselves on Sundays. And then our youth are allowed to serve, but they don't attend classes. They just serve in our different grades, and then they go to church for the other service. So
that's great.
I love that. The other interesting thing is most of our children don't come to church with their families. They just walk to church.
What?
So of the 100 kids, if the children finish before the adults do, they just start walking home. There's probably only about 25 or 30 kids that are waiting for their parents. The rest, they just come to church. So a lot of our little kids are there because their big brothers and sisters come, because their mom might say, sure, you can go to church, but you got to take the baby.
Whoa.
So they all come together.
Can you imagine that, kids? In NavKids, nobody comes to church unless mom or dad drops them off, and they can't leave their classroom till mom or dad picks them up.
Yep. Wow. Our kids would be there a really long time if we waited for mom and dad to come get them.
That's crazy. And so they walk to church.
Yep. They just come to church, and they're often there. We don't live in Freedom Park, so we have to drive about 25 or 30 minutes to get to church. And our church starts at 1:30 in the afternoon. So by the time we get there, a lot of the kids are just already there. They're waiting. Like, all right, church is starting sometime today. I'm waiting for it.
And there's probably a lot of family parents that that use us for childcare, just to watch their kids, and we're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Because
Hey,
we're
they're
going to teach them
there.
about Jesus.
Yeah. So how long is church then usually?
Kids church or adult church?
Well, I guess kids church, because that's what we care about.
Kids church usually goes for about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
And adult service will go average 3 to 4 hours, depending on the preacher that day.
So
Could
do
be
the kids
me.
get a snack or anything?
The little kids do. We have a snack time for our younger kids. The older kids, they don't. Most of them, well, honestly, most of them are used to not having lunch in the afternoon. They often have only 1 or 2 meals a day, so they're not expecting food in the middle of the day. So on holidays, we might serve food. We have water for the kids,
Okay.
so we definitely have water for them if they need it. But they're not looking to stop and have a snack in the middle of the day.
And they get a sweet on the way out, which is kind of nice. But I mean, it's not a snack, but
Yeah. They get a
it's
little treat.
something.
That's fun.
Mhm.
Give them a little energy for the walk home.
Yeah. So what brings the kids to kids ministry? I know sometimes it's their siblings, but what is the draw, the thing that gets their attention for them to want to come to children's church?
Candy.
Yeah, I think part of the reason they come is to get a piece of candy at the end of service. And we're okay with that. We're fine with that. If that little piece of candy gets them to come to church, then that's great. But when they can start coming, it's fun. They enjoy it. They see their friends. It's many of the same reasons that kids in the States go to kids' church, because it's exciting. They learn there, and then it transforms from that into they meet Jesus. And then it takes on a whole new level of desire and wanting to come to kids' church, because now they're coming to hear about their Savior. So there's a combination of reasons they come.
So I'm hearing that candy is a super big important thing there. I'm guessing.
You know what? It is our disciplinary tool. So we start our children's service with 3 balloons blown up, and they're taped to the front of the room. And if kids get a little bit noisy, then we pop a balloon. And if there's any balloons left at the end of service, they get to leave with candy. And if all the balloons got popped, sorry, maybe next week.
Wow. So in NavKids, we yell out, NavKids, and they yell, what's up? And that's how we get their attention.
Oh, fun. I like that.
Yeah, but we don't use candy. Never thought of using that. Uh-oh.
That's okay. A lot of the American parents would probably prefer that you don't. So it's not.
Yeah, that's
so these are the candies. They're not real big, but they're very tasty. They're called fizzers.
okay.
And I brought one here. Do you want it?
Yes.
Would you like a candy? Here you go.
Okay, thank you.
Too bad we didn't have one on that side. Then you could act like you're taking it from
yeah,
there.
then
Oh,
Kinda
man.
Cool.
Well, I'll go ahead and have one while you're.
Yes, please enjoy this, because I want to see your reaction when you eat this. Does it actually fizz in your mouth?
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of like Laffy Taffy. Not quite as fizzy as a Pop Rocks, but it's got some popping action.
They smell really good too.
My mouth is actually watering right now.
It's mean, isn't it? I know, I'm sorry.
I see why you can use it as a disciplinary tool. Oh, Pastor Jeff.
Rotten, I tell you.
Would you like a taste?
Yes.
No, this one is mine.
Okay, so let's get to some of the fun questions.
All right, what you got?
What is the craziest thing that each of you have eaten since you've been in South Africa?
Oh, what do you think? Mopani worms?
Those are pretty.
Mopani worms.
It's always
They're not really worms. Don't worry.
Okay.
They're caterpillars. It's worse.
Are they at least chocolate covered?
Oh no, they're dried. Okay, so you guys live in the Midwest. So in the fall, you know, when the leaves are falling and then it rains.
Yes.
You know that smell of the wet leaves?
Yes.
Totally what they taste like.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Dry, cardboard-esque.
So when you buy them dried.
Okay.
Now, they improve a little if you boil them, so they get this is going to gross you out, but so they get juicy again, and then you fry them so they're a little crispy on the outside, and then they kind of squish in your mouth.
I'm getting this picture of Lion King with
yes, exactly. The little cream-filled ones.
Something that ranks up there, though. Have you ever had chicken feet? Not chicken legs, but chicken feet.
I have not. I know
those are our daughter Beth's favorites.
She loves chicken feet, and there's not a lot of meat on there, and it's real rubbery. You know, you can see how rubbery it would be, but they just. And she eats the toenails and everything. She's just.
You just kind of chew on them, and then you spit out the nails, and you spit out the bones, and.
I feel like
the other thing that's
something
gross.
That's been one of her favorites for a long time, because I believe when I saw her last, I remember hearing about the chicken feet.
She loves them.
Another thing that's gross is the Africans serve what's called tripe. Do you know what tripe is?
Yes, I
Pig
believe I've heard of. Yeah.
And it's nasty.
Oh. That's
whenever I have tripe, I make sure that I go to McDonald's afterwards so that I get some normal with that abnormal.
Wait, you have McDonald's in South Africa?
Oh. We do. But do you know what most South Africans like even more than McDonald's?
What's that?
KFC. They've never heard of Kentucky, but they like the fried chicken.
Or the Colonel. We also have Burger King and Subway and lots of.
Is Subway still here?
Yeah, Subway's still in the country. There's a couple Starbucks over here. Yeah, it's not
now, is it really Starbucks, or is it just Starbucks brewed coffee?
The one that I had was Starbucks, really Starbucks. Okay. I mean, it was they fixed it they had a barista and everything.
There's one chain of hotels that have little Starbucks inside of them. And then there's another chain of hotels that just sells the Starbucks coffee. They brew it themselves, but they sell the Starbucks beans.
Hey, it's a little taste of America.
That's it.
It's nice every once in a while.
Yeah. What is the craziest or prettiest thing that either of you have worn? Pastor Jeff, would that be your wig that you normally wear?
The hair.
I don't have to think about that one.
I think the most different thing is that women, especially married women, and I'm getting old now, they tend to wrap their hair or wrap their head when they are in church, especially funerals. It's a very big deal at funerals. But we had one lady at our church that she actually wanted to do something very special for Pastor Jeff for Father's Day. And so she wanted to do my hair for him for Father's Day. So she did the braids and extensions, and I had the whole big, I'll send you the picture. You can put it on your
yes, I'd love that picture.
She even found like blondish, a little orangey maybe, extensions to put in my hair.
And how long did you keep that in for?
Oh man, I tell you what, with my slippery white girl hair, it does not stay in very long. I kept it on through the weekend so that I could be at church for Father's Day and let everyone see what she did. And then it just kept looking worse and worse and worse. My little hair was all sticking up through all the braids and.
That's funny.
So 4 days.
Do they have any traditional garb over there that you guys have gotten to try on or wear?
Yeah, we have actually several outfits that that are African. So South Africa is kind of a melting pot of African cultures. Mm-hmm. There's not really a South African culture. So they might look like Nigerian, traditional, or mostly it's the type of fabric that they use. They love very bright colors. They love very tight clothes and very big head wraps for the women. The men tend to wear kind of more comfortable, loose fitting shirts, but even the men love the bright colors. In fact, if they could have matching shoes to their shirts, a lot of the African men love that. We have a good friend who's a pastor that wears like bright blue and bright purple suits with matching shoes, and they love color here.
That's cool. Well, I mean, All right, so on to our next question. Can you tell us about your favorite time in country? Is there a special event or a poignant, a special memory from all of your years there?
Well, I think our special time, our favorite time, is at Christmas time.
Okay, and why is that so special?
We do an event for our kids, and we call it Hope Church Christmas. And what we do is we take and collect a bag full of goodies, school supplies, candy, toys, anything that we can get together and into a plastic bag. And then we also, and so we'll take those out, and we also take McDonald's Happy Meals out. And one of my favorite stories, and it's kind of a sad story.
Okay.
The first year that we did that, and we took the Happy Meals out, we were handing the Happy Meals out to the kids, and they had the little box sitting on their lap, and they had the juice box, and as we get about halfway of distributing them, we noticed that they're not opening the box, they're not eating. And so I asked one of our Africans, one of our African helpers, what's going on? Why aren't they? He goes, they don't know what they are.
Oh, wow.
They didn't know what a Happy Meal was.
They didn't
So
know
we
how to
opened it
be
up. We
Mhm.
we opened the box for them and showed them, and they saw the French fries right away, and they knew what those were. So they were eating French fries, and then we had to open up the hamburger, the cheeseburger, so they started eating the cheeseburger, and I'm watching them, and they're just enjoying it, loving it. And then I noticed they get about halfway done with the cheeseburger, and they wrap it up and put it back in the box, and they get about halfway done with the French fries, and they stop and put it back in the box. And I asked one of our helpers, I go, what are they doing? Why aren't they just eating all that? I know they've got to be hungry. He goes, they're gonna save it and take it home for their mom and dad. And it just broke my heart, because I think of all the times that I've been to McDonald's
Oh,
and had Happy Meals. And
Right?
yeah.
I go to McDonald's, or try to, at least once, twice a week. And
Mm.
here these are kids that are 10, 11, 12 years old. They don't even know what McDonald's are. They've never even experienced that.
Wow.
So that has become my favorite event, because I love to watch them just dig into those Happy Meals. And they most of them will save it and share it with their family when they get home. But there's some, they're like, no way, I'm eating it all. And just the joy that brings, and watching them open their bags and get excited about what's in it. And many times, there's some things in there that's not too exciting, like erasers,
Yeah.
stuff for school, but they're like, I got erasers. And then we've had a number of parents meet us, and as the kids come out and they show their moms and dad, they come up and they say, thank you so very much. We've been concerned about being able to buy supplies for school, and this is really going to help us. And so, yeah, it's pretty rewarding, and a pretty exciting time for us.
That's so fun, because the joy is it's so simple, and I
Mhm.
think so many times us and as parents and as kids here in America, like you said, we take so much of that for granted. It's nothing to just, we're out and about and shopping probably, or running errands to different places that there in South Africa they just don't do. And mom or dad says, we've got to eat and we don't have time, we're just going to run through McDonald's, or KFC or Burger King, or any of these numbers of places. We do. Even families who don't have a lot of money here in America know what all of those things are. I think kids, it's so easy for us to forget. And when we hear stories like this, it tugs on our heart, because God is helping us to remember to be humble and to love the blessings we have here.
Be grateful. Yeah, to be grateful for what we have. And I've had African friends. I take them to McDonald's, and I say, okay, go ahead and order. They go, okay. They'll lean over to me and they'll whisper, hey, can you order for me? And I know what that means. They don't know what to get.
Yeah.
And they see me, and they see that I'm big and tall and a little on the heavy side, and they figure the big fat guy knows what to get. He's going to get something good. So then I ordered the food for them. So, but it's just, I mean, we as Americans, we have so much, and that's not bad. It's not bad to have things, as long as we are grateful for those things, and we don't allow those things to control our lives, and we utilize those things for the kingdom of God.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. So let's shift again. I've got another hopefully fun one, an exciting question for you. How many hours does it take you to get to South Africa from here in the States? And now you guys are, your home base is actually here in Illinois, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's right, in Elgin.
In Elgin. So kids, since you don't know, Elgin is about 4.5, 5 hours north of here, and it's where I was born and where I grew up. And so Elgin is actually where Abby's parents live and where they're from. So they help to run the ministry along with what's called a board. And so the operations for Engage Africa are ran there out of Northern Illinois. So Abby, how long does it take you guys to get from Elgin to where your parents are to South Africa?
Well, from Elgin, it's probably about an hour and a half or so to get to the airport. And then who knows how long to stand in line at the airport. Goodness sakes, going through security.
Yeah.
You haven't flown before. You got to know, you got to plan an extra hour or two just to stand in line.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is about, it's about a 2-hour flight. We usually fly from Chicago to Atlanta, Georgia. And then from Atlanta, Georgia, it is about a 14-hour flight to Johannesburg.
And it's a
That's
straight
a long
flight
time
to
with
Johannesburg?
Yep, we go from Atlanta to Johannesburg, and then it's about a 2-hour drive from Johannesburg to Rustenburg. So it's around 18-hour flight.
Okay.
Right?
Mm.
18 hours of actual time in the airplane, and then some driving time as well. So yeah, it takes us a while, but the time zone is different. So like right now it's early in the morning for you guys, but it's in the afternoon for us. So if we leave, we usually lose a day traveling because of the way the time zones work. So if we leave on Friday, then we might only arrive on like late on the Saturday, right? Yeah. It takes us a full day because of the way the time zones work.
Okay. And now when you get to Johannesburg, what is your mode of transportation? So that means, what do you use to get from Johannesburg to your home in Rustenburg? Does one of your interns or somebody usually come and pick you up?
Well, we usually rent camels. And we ride camels to Rustenburg. It's about
Beth must be a pro at that.
She's awesome.
No, we have friends that will come and pick us up and bring us. It's about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from Johannesburg to Rustenburg.
Just a van. Yeah.
Yep. Just a van or a car and a trailer, depending on how many trunks we have. Yeah. We tend to bring a lot of luggage back here because stuff is kind of expensive here.
Yeah.
And hard to get. So as long as the airline allows us to bring it without charging us extra, we try to bring quite a bit of, especially clothes and things like that. Mm-hmm. Pastor Jeff is 6'8" tall. It's hard for him to find clothes here. So we try to get clothes and shop garage sales and bring them back with us.
So if anybody has some extra clothes that are extra long, like it's
that's right,
my door here, Pastor Jeff will take them.
That's right. Gotta be long.
Okay.
Long and big, 'cause I'm a big guy.
Yes. So what do the kids in South Africa like to do for fun?
One of the things they love to do, they love to play soccer. They love soccer. That's the national sport. There's also rugby here and cricket and other boring games. But soccer is the big one. They love soccer.
They also love just to play music and dance. They do it like if they can get music on their phone, they'll play music and just dance. And They walk. They love to visit, like walk around and visit little shops. They call them tuck shops. And it's just like a little, it would be something with like a roof and a couple of walls. It would kind of look like a kiosk at the mall. And they would get chippies, little bags of chips or a popsicle or something like that, and just walk around and talk to their friends.
Yeah.
That's fun. So I'm hearing from every country that we've talked to so far that soccer's a big deal.
That's funny.
So kids, if you don't know it, everywhere except America, pretty much soccer is like the #1 sport. Here in America.
And that's only because in America we make up our own games.
Right.
American baseball, American football.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nobody else plays those.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does make us the best at them.
Correct. We are. Sometimes we bring in some great baseball players from some of the.
Speaking of baseball.
Oh, yes. Bring it into the Cardinal Nation.
I thought I would. Yeah, we're in the heart of the Redbird Nation over there. So I just wanted to show my colors. Hope that doesn't make you hate me.
No, I don't hate you. Those are great true colors. And I represent my Cubbies at church all the time. But the kids yell at me and the pastors yell at me. They've threatened to kick me out of staff meetings before. And I just.
Is that a bad thing?
What a way to get out of a meeting.
Oh, okay, I'm done. I just wanted to know that.
We have a few Cubbies. And so I know they'll give you some great love for that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So the next question I have, do the kids near you go to, well, we know they go to church if they come to Hope Church, but is going to church and school something normal in South Africa?
Go ahead.
I would say going to church is more normal. South Africa is so interesting because there's so many different cultures here. We have 2 different cultures of white South Africans. We have colored South Africans that we would call Milano or mixed in the States. We have Indian South Africans, and then we have the Black African South Africans. And in all the different cultures, people tend to go to church.
Okay.
I think that's kind of around the world. Lots of times people go to church. And the other thing with, I was going to say the other thing with churches is that churches don't require uniforms like school does. Mm-hmm. Here in South Africa, every school, public, private, tiny, big, doesn't matter. Every kid is supposed to wear a uniform. So it depends also on your culture and how much money your family has and whether or not you can afford to buy a uniform and books to go to school.
And many churches require uniforms for adults.
Wow.
So adults will
it is very
wear
interesting.
Uniforms to church.
In American culture, we as Americans, we want to be individuals, right? It's all about what I can be, and I'm the only one that can decide what I'm going to be and how I'm going to follow Jesus. We love to sing songs about me and Jesus. It's all about being an individual and the best that you can be.
Yeah.
In African culture, that's not something to be praised. They value being seen in unity and in community. So a big word in African culture is Ubuntu, which basically means I am because we are. So I find my identity in a group. And so people here actually love uniforms. They love t-shirts. They love visual ways to connect them with who they choose to belong to. So it's very interesting. So kids want to go to school. They want to wear uniforms. They want to be associated with the people that they are. But here in South Africa, public education is supposed to be free, but uniforms aren't free and books aren't free and paper's not free and all of that. So some of our kids can't go to school because they just don't have the right clothes.
And there's not enough schools. There's not enough school space.
Yeah, in Freedom Park, where our church is, where our first church is, the schools there, they have about 50 kids in a classroom.
No, there was the last time I went and talked to the principal, the 3rd grade class had 3 classes, and there were 175 kids
just
amongst those 3 classes.
Divided into 3 classes. And they just don't have space for anymore. And so some of the kids just can't go to school because there's just not the space for it. And so that's definitely a problem for our kids in poorer communities.
Wow. So do you guys, as part of Hope Church, do you get to distribute any school materials or anything like that to help the kids that can't go to school?
Sorry, you mean like books and things like that?
Yeah. Do you guys ever get a chance to help them at least try and learn something from home?
Are you guys familiar with Book of Hope? Have you seen the Books of Hope? It's a really interesting magazine that is the Bible.
Yeah.
It has the Gospels, and so we have distributed those. But that company, that group, also has a curriculum for kids that could be used in schools, and so we've been given some of that, and we've used that. There is an after-school program for kids in Freedom Park, and you don't have to go to school to attend the after-school program. And so they do have access to a small library, so they can get a little bit of learning. But a lot of the kids that can't afford to go to school, their parents would need them to help in the house or take care of younger brothers and sisters and things like that. So they're not having a lot of opportunity to learn outside of the classroom.
Yeah.
I have heard of Book of Hope. When I was in Elgin as the youth director, we distributed some Books of Hope to the Elgin community. But I don't know that any of the kids down here would know what it is. So it's a really cool resource, guys. And to hear that they have the ability to give, well, curriculum means like schoolwork, or on Sunday mornings, it would be like your Sunday morning lesson. And so to be able to get some of those things out is really cool. One of the things we've been mentioning each week is how here in America, going to school is not an option. And again, it's something that maybe we sometimes take for granted. And it's really been cool to hear what different countries, what school looks like for them. And in every other country we've talked to so far, school is an option. And so here in America, because it's not an option, we as American children and American adults are, we're privileged. We're at an advantage where we get an opportunity that other countries may not get. And this is one of the reasons, again, why it's so important that we go. And we go where God sends us, because sometimes we have knowledge that other people need. And if we don't go and tell them and share them, they may never hear it. They may never hear the good news. And we may only have that knowledge because we know how to read and they don't. You know,
That's
so
true.
It's so important that we just go. Wherever God sends us, we go and be obedient. So
just like you at Collinsville, you know.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. We ended up down here because God said go. And we listened and we obeyed, and now we get to be a NAP church with all of you guys.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah. So our last question is been a really fun one to learn some new languages, and it's the same thing in most countries to greet somebody and say hello. But beyond that, we want to be able to tell them that we love Jesus. So my last question for you is, how do you say, hi, I love Jesus, in the native language there used in South Africa? Or the most popular language used in South Africa is what I should probably say.
So South Africa has 11 national languages.
Whoa.
English is one of them. That's a bonus for us. But many of our African friends don't speak English. The different languages tend to be by region, like where people live. They tend to have groupings of language. So one of the most popular languages here that in our area is called Sotho or Sesotho, or Tswana. They're very similar languages. And so in that language, I'm going to write it for you so you can see it. You would say hello by saying Dumela. So it's Dumela. And then you would say I love Jesus by saying Ke rata Jesu.
Okay, let me try it.
All right.
Say Dumela Ke rata Jesu.
Great, except in this language, it's not like Spanish. The J is just set as a J.
Oh,
so it's
J. Okay. All right, let me try again. Dumela Ke rata Jesu.
Yes.
I did it.
Excellent.
Yay.
Woo-hoo! Look at you speaking Sotho.
I'm going to have like 14 different languages by the end of the year, and I'll be able to
like
one sentence in each language.
But it's a really important sentence to say.
It is. It's a super important sentence to say. Well,
Can I share with you my favorite saying in one of the languages?
yes.
My favorite saying comes from the Afrikaans, which would be the white Dutch descent Africans.
Okay.
And they say, when they say thank you or thank you very much, they say buy a donkey. So when I got to South Africa the first time, my supervising missionary, when I was the first week I'm there, I would do something for him, and he'd say, "Buy a donkey, meneer." And it was coming through. Why would I want to buy a donkey manure? Why are you calling me manure? Buy a donkey, meneer is thank you very much, sir.
Oh,
so
my.
That's my favorite. Buy a donkey. When somebody says buy a donkey to me now, I just say, I don't want a donkey. Thanks.
Oh man, that's a good one. I'm excited to be back with the kids this fall and be able to try and remember and share some of these languages, and we're getting some little snippets of other phrases as well, and to hear the kids come back. So from now on, kids, if you borrow something from me and then you give it back, I'm going to say, buy a donkey.
Buy a donkey.
There you go. Buy a donkey.
The parents will have no clue what we're saying. It'll be the best.
Yes. Secret kids church language.
Exactly. I like it. Well, we have come to the end of our questions. But before we go, I was just wondering if there's anything else you wanted to share with us, or anything important you think that we as NavKids should know.
Well, I would like to just share a prayer request with you.
Absolutely.
And your kids. COVID-19 is pretty much devastating the world, and everything is different and everything is changed. And for our South Africans that live in Freedom Park, it's doubly difficult because they're poor, and it's very difficult for a poor person to not work or have their once a week piece job or day job that they do to get money. So what we have been doing with the church is every week we take out 65 food parcels to give away to our Hope Church members. And it's not a huge food parcel, but it helps them get by. And so I would just ask that the kids, one, pray for our kids and adults in Freedom Park, that God will supply for them. And two, that God will supply for us, so that we were able to financially, as Engage Africa, be able to continue to do this to help those people out and get them through this time of COVID-19 and our lockdown situation that we have here in South Africa.
Well, Pastor Jeff, I'm going to pray that out after we leave you. We will do a little closing after our recording, and we will absolutely be sure to pray for this. And kids, again, if there's anything more that you want to know about Hope Church, Freedom Park, Engage Africa, there's going to be some links in the email that Mom and Dad get today, and on social media. There'll be some extra links in those emails and posts online that you guys and parents can click on to learn more about Hope Church and the food parcels there in Freedom Park. So we want to be praying for that and praying for our missionaries in South Africa. And I just want to say thank you to you, Pastor Jeff and Abby, for everything you do there and for being available to do this interview with us today. Before we leave you, though, the last thing I was wondering if we could do, could you guys both stand up so that the kids can see the height difference between you two? Okay. I know they'll love this one.
Well, the real Jeff Hunt, stand up.
Oh, he disappeared. Hold on. Oh, there we go.
Here, let's back up. There we go.
Okay.
The angle on.
I'm armpit height.
And so Pastor Jeff and Abby have two small kids. They have Beth and Jordan, and they all live there in South Africa. They come home back here to Illinois to visit family. And Abby's parents come to stay with them periodically there in South Africa and get to spend lots of time with the grandkids. So we just want to thank everybody today for their time and for spending time with us and for making South Africa available to us so we could learn a little bit more about you guys. Oh, do we have some visitors? We have visitors.
Oh, this is my son Jordan.
Hi.
He's 4. He'll be 5 in
Hi.
August. Come here, baby.
And there's Beth.
Yes.
Oh, Beth, I bet you don't remember me. The last time I saw you, you were even younger than Jordan. Yeah. So guys, look at this. You can be kids and be missionaries.
4.
You are 4, that's right. Beth and Jordan are missionary kids growing up in South Africa. What a cool experience.
7.
Right.
Whoa.
Hey.
Whoa.
All right, guys.
It's great to see you guys. Thanks for letting us join you.
All righty. Bye. You guys, South Africa is so cool. I cannot wait to go visit my friends Jeff and Abby. It was so much fun catching up with them this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview just as much as I did. Today, as we close out, let's remember what's going on over there in South Africa and what it is they have asked us to pray for. They are doing their food parcels every week with these $8 buckets. And it's such a cool project, and they could use our prayer as well as donations. So in the email and on social media today, there'll be an extra link about Engage Africa and how you can help with prayer and even financial donations to help these $8 food parcel buckets that they're delivering every week to Freedom Park. So as we leave today, let's bow our heads and close our eyes, and I'm going to pray us out real quick. Lord God, we come before you right now, and we just thank you for who you are, and we thank you for how you provide for us in just the ways we need. Lord, we pray right now specifically for the families in Freedom Park in South Africa, that God, as they try and navigate through what we call COVID-19, that you would be with them, providing financially and nutritionally to the people, the transients who live there in Freedom Park. Enable Hope Church and Engage Africa to provide in whatever means necessary, Lord. We thank you and we love you and we just praise you for who you are, God. In your name we pray, amen. So this afternoon, if you have not already received an email about picking up your NavKids VBS in a Bag kit, and you are signed up for VBS, make sure you go back and look for that email or text message from me personally, letting you know your specific pickup time for your bag or arrangements to get that bag to you. You guys, I love you, I miss you, and I will see you right back here again next week, same time, same place, for another edition of NavKids on a Mission. Have a great week, guys.